Hey everybody, what's up? We're getting there. A couple more of these Shining games. And I feel like Shining Blade was a good way to just end playing these games. Because Shining Arc and Shining Resonance Refrain, they're okay. But we're going to talk about Shining Arc today, and then next week we're going to talk about Shining Resonance Refrain, because in October I want to just play I'm going to do reviews on like 4 horror games. Well, technically 6, but 3 of them are like a part of a little like horror puzzle genre or line of games. So I'm gonna play all 3 and talk about all 3. So that might be a pretty long video. I mean, all these are pretty long, but that might be extra long. It seems like they will not be. Those games seem pretty short, but I figured I'd just knock out the whole series, and then I got a couple others. And that way I don't have to wait until November to do this. And then the next series of games I'm going to play is going to be Police Quest, which involves the SWAT games. And it's roughly 8 or 9 games. So that should carry us all the way into like December or something. Oh wait, no, it'll be November, December. It'll carry us into like February or something of 2026. All right, anyway. So Shining Arc is another PSP game, and it has the exact same combat system that Shining Blade has, where you have like, only this time it's only 3 characters for some reason. Yeah, it was only 3 characters. Oh no, it has 4 characters. So you can have 5 in Shining Blade. So this one you can only have 3 at a time. There's no reserve, and the cast is much simpler. Like I think the total cast is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like 7 or 8, and one of them you always have to have, which is not the main character, who's Fred. I think it was Fred, who is like Pro-Tycoon. And there's this woman, Panis, who you meet almost immediately, and she is like the actual main character of the game, much like Gracia in Shining Force 3, Scenario 3, that the main character that you are playing is not actually the main character of the story or the main motivator of like things that are occurring. So that's kind of interesting. Like you're like very much a side character in your own story in this regard, which is kind of like Lunar Silver Star story, but at least the game's named after her, so it's like kind of makes sense. Anyway, so in Shining Arc, yeah, so it plays like that. You have less people. It's really, it's almost more of like Shining Hearts, where there's a lot of collecting and baking bread and helping people be happy and doing like farming and stuff. It's not like fucking Stardew Valley level of things, but it's definitely like Shining Hearts, which again I didn't really talk about because I couldn't play through much of it. But you can see that both these games are like inspired by the same kind of like half-assery when it comes to like the Rune Factory or Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley kind of stuff, where there's a lot of gathering and crafting stuff that you can kind of do and farming and stuff, but it's all just like it's centered completely around making like bread, and then increasing like your weapon capabilities through like the blacksmith and stuff. So, and then there's a lot of like, and that's the thing, the game made it seem, at least the translation made it seem like making people happy was very, very important, and it's like sort of important, I guess. And then there's, just like Shining Blade, there's a huge like, once you beat like the boss and finish like the main story of the game, there's like a huge like extra content at the end, which is like a whole nother like super boss and more story and stuff like that. The cast generally is pretty good. It's not like a million people, so that's much more helpful because I can think of every single character that joins your party instead of being like, I don't know, there's a whole shitload of them. Like there's like 30. Like again, I think it's like 8. I might be adding wrong because yeah, I don't have it like right in front of me, but we'll get around to it. All right, so we start off as Freed, our protagoon. He's like hanging out on this beach on this island, and he's talking about how he washed up on this island and that the village welcomed into it, and that he was adopted essentially by this family of elves. So there's like Mama Elf, Daddy Elf. They own a bakery on the island. And that he has like Shannon, who's like his sister, because they were raised together, right? And when I say raised together, at some point I thought someone said she was like 100 years old, and you were like clearly a 16-year-old boy, so you were not raised together. That is some all bullshit. I mean, you're like a pet to her. Anyway, she's one of the girls you can romance, of course. And she uses a bow, so cool. And she's definitely like the canon main love interest, obviously, because it's like they're remaking that game right now, so you might be hearing about it. What is it called? It's Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky 1, which had the similar story where there's the main character. Well, the main character is the girl. I can't remember her name is, but there's the boy that like grew up with her, and they're like the love interest, but also he's kind of adopted in the family. So don't worry, it's not real incest, I guess, something like that. Anyway. So, okay, and her parents like, yep. One day, Freed is like just hanging out by the ocean, chilling and whatnot, and he finds this girl on the beach. This girl has one black wing and a see-through dress. Nice. Anyway, so it's the same character designer as like the more recent, like the Shining Tears games. So everyone's super attractive, men and women and monsters. And so at that point, we get to go back into the village, and Freed is like talking to all his like the people he already knows, but we get introduced to him as the guy playing the game. So we meet Shannon, who's the elf sister love interest. We meet Zynga, who's like a werewolf guy with a big halberd kind of spear thing. They're cool. They're just starting teammates for us. He's also kind of like a fisherman, which is cool. So we leave the girl in their care, so we can run and get some herbs, and then we get like tutorials, right? And this game loves tutorials. We get tutorials to the until we're like after we beat the game, we're still getting tutorials. And so let's see, combat system for Shining Blade. Yep. So we head back to the village with the herbs, and we get the girl, and the village gets attacked by monsters. Oh no! So Zynga and Shannon team up so we can get more tutorials, and then we can defeat them. So after all those tutorials, then we find out that Panis is feeling great. We find out her name's Panis, and she's instantly attached to Freed. So we spend almost the entire rest of the game like holding her hand as we walk around the village, which is adorbs. But she is, I guess, kind of a love interest. She's the only one in the game that you can like change her clothes, and she has like a wide array of costumes that you can unlock and find by getting achievements and stuff. I didn't spend any time on that because I'm good, but there you go. And Shannon at first is super jealous, and then she views her as like her other sibling, like her sister, so like another pet, because of course. And then the mayor of the village, who's this other beastman, he also becomes infatuated with Panis. In fact, everyone does, and not like a perverted way, like, oh, we love her, she's so sweet and kind, and we just want to take care of her and make sure she's doing okay and whatnot. And so, we go around, we show her around town, we get more tutorials about the village, also about bread. Fucking bread. Love it. I actually love making bread, so like I'm down for it 100%. So after running around the village for a little bit, this pirate asshole shows up, Bacchus. We beat his ass, then we come back, and it's like, oh, it's getting late, and we find out there's like a day-night cycle in this game, sort of. There's like different activities and different quests and different like happiness modes and whatever that are unlocked, and there's no like time frame or whatever. There's no like days of the week or anything. It's not even as advanced as like an open-world erotic visual novel. It's just like there's stuff available in the morning, stuff available in the afternoon, and stuff available at night, and stuff that's not. So you have to come back, and that includes like main quests and whatnot. But as it's getting late at night, there's a blood red moon in the sky, and it's like, oh no, and then this giant like colossus monster shows up and starts storming up onto the beach, and it's like, god damn. And so Zynga, Shannon, and Freed go to like fight it, but no matter what we do, we can't damage it or whatever. And then at that point, Panis like runs up and she sings a song, and the thing just like fucking disappears, and we're all like, Nani desu ka? And she's like, I sent it home. And we're like, okay. So then the next day we chat with the village. Apparently the monster, even though we just fought it on the beach and it started on the beach, it like tore up the village, and some of the people are very despondent because their homes have clearly been destroyed, and it's like a hot fucking mess. So Fred has to do like a pep speech for everyone to make sure they're all like, yeah, we can do this. We can rebuild the village and we're going to do great. It's going to be even better than before. And so everyone agrees to work hard to restore the village. And then we get a tutorial about the quest system and the shops and everything like that. So we can do all that shit now. So like I mentioned, this game involves a lot of gathering and talking to people and helping them out and a lot of actual bread making and stuff, which is fun. And so we go about, and it's not like we actually build the village. We just like talk to the villagers and like they build it on their own. We don't encourage or have any. It's like trying to build a village in like Dragon Quest or like Breath of Fire or any of these other games. But that'd be fun. That'd be even funnier than this. But it is what it is. And the entire game takes place on like this island, right? Which we find out later is the Ark, Bright Shining Ark. Anyway. So we just do village stuff a lot in between different quests and whatnot. I'm not going to go about it all the time, but I didn't spend a lot of time on it, and I just kind of like hit up quests when I saw them, and you get items from the quest. So I feel like that's the main thing to really do is you want to bake bread and give it to certain people, or like do this and do that because they asked you to do things, and they'll give you like more items, and items are like very essential to do things. And then there's like a quest thing like in Shining Blade where you can just go on a quest, but they all have to run out of like the village. You can't just like you can't ever leave the village unless you're on a quest. So it's really like a toned down version of Shining Blade in terms of like gameplay and whatnot. So for example, someone is like, hey, we need logs. Oh, and a lot of the main story quests, it'll be like, oh, this thing's happening, it's very important. And then you'll do that, and then it'll be like, hey, can you go get some logs from the woods as like a main story quest? And you're like, sure. So you just go to a battleground, fight monsters, come back, bring logs. And then they're like, oh, we need to clear some stuff for this tower. So you help clear out the woods for this tower, and then opens up ruins and stuff. And so we do that. And then once we're over at the ruins, we find a robot. And this guy's named Adam. Get it? Of course. Because every robot in this franchise has to be called Adam, because that was the case in the first game, and it's all callbacks and whatnot. And honestly, it's like, that's fine. I'm fine with it. He's really into like helping the village and making a farm. And so at this point, we kill some monsters, and then now we can have Adam run a farm for us where we give him seeds, and then after like a mission, we can come back and he has fruits and vegetables and stuff for us. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, how did this place function? Anyway, like nothing works unless we go do like 15 different like story quests to make it happen. And so we spent like the whole like the first chapter is like the tutorials, and the second chapter is like we just spent so much time doing this bullshit. And we can also we open up like another tutorial at this point where it's like if she sings in certain areas, it'll make people like happy or more productive or whatever. Like the plants will grow faster if she sings by the farm, right? So there you go. At some point in the main story, we head over to the coastline. So there's main downtown. There's like the Elf House Bakery where you live. There is the beach area. There is like there's like the ranch area with like sheep. There's like 2 sheep. And then there's like ruins. Those are like the town areas that you can go to. And it takes like until chapter 3 or something before you can just like teleport. Otherwise you got to like run around. And it's really not that hard to run around. So the teleport thing is almost like inconsequential. But anyway, at some point we roll down to like the Cove beach area where Zynga's just hanging out, and a pirate ship rolls up. All right, another pirate ship. And this time it's a prince guy with an eye patch. And he's like, I claim this village as my property. I am the lord of this area now. And we shut that down and kick his ass, and then he flees. And at that point we meet Erwin. Yay! She's in this second game too. She doesn't join the party though. Wah, wah, wah. But what she does is that she'll trade with the mainland. So however many hundreds of years after Shining Blade takes place, she's just like traveling the world doing trades, even though she's like Queen of the Elves. Like, fair enough. Unless this game takes place like somewhere else in the timeline. There's no reference that I could find that mentioned this. Maybe the game it brought up, but I just don't understand because of the translation issues and whatnot. But it does take place in the same world, and at some point in maybe it takes place before Shining Tears, to be completely honest, now that I'm thinking about it. Because she was off doing like some old bullshit. When she's Queen of the Elves, I doubt she'd just be, you never know. Erwin's so crazy. I love her. I love her to death. Anyway, she's hot in this. Not as hot as Shining Blade, but still hot. And so what you can do, and she's like very minimally involved in like the main story. Like occasionally she'll like give her 2 cents about the matter or somehow be involved. But pretty much what she does is she acts as like, you can give her items, and all the items have like star levels up to like star level 3. And then she'll leave, and then after you do like a mission or a quest, you can go talk to her, and she'll have like traded out those items for like random items or certain items depending on what you're doing. Anyway, I'm just glad she's here because I love her. So it's a total pleasure doing that with her. Next up in our little journey to rebuild the town is we get a quest assignment from the teacher of the school to get the new school bell so that we can, or to help her build the school bell so the school can go back into attendance. So we got to kill some creatures, get some wood, set that up. Then Panis gets to start up at school, so she gets to hang out with all the kids her age, presumably. And they're all super excited about that and whatnot. Down at the cove, another pirate shows up. And this time he wants to gather all the power from the island, as well as take Panis under him, or her. And she is banging hot. She's got just pirate themed bra, and that's all she's wearing. She's kind of an asshole, but don't worry, y'all. She's hot. She'll join the team later. So we beat her. She swears she's going to come back eventually. We talk about this, and with the chief mentions that there's a giant in nearby ruins, so we can go check that out. We kill some monsters, and then Panis touches the giant statue thing, and the whole ruins begins to shake, but just the ruins, which is kind of odd. A bit later, one of the villagers tells us that they found a crystal that is causing a lot of light at night. Maybe we can go check it out. So we do. And then while we're there, the giant returns, and we rush back in to fight it. Again, our physical attacks are completely useless. And then Adam syncs up with these old cannons that are there, and we're able to blast its weak spot, which is like a ring on its head. Once we blast through that, then we can do physical attacks to it. And that lets us do real damage to it and beat it. Everyone is psyched about all that, and we celebrate. And then Panis learns a new song, which ends Chapter 2. Chapter 3 begins with some lady with 2 guns walking up to the crystal thing, while Freed and company are having a conversation around it. When the woman approaches her, we find out that her name is Kill Maria. Yes. She's an exorcist for some church on the mainland, and apparently she's been chasing Panis down because she's supposedly a demon or something. She talks about doing all this research out about someone with a black wing, and then hearing about Panis from probably Erwin, I think. Because she's the only one who's traveling to and from the island. We mentioned that these ruins over here say the opposite, that she is actually not a demon or anything, and they do say that. And they actually say that she's an angel instead. So Kill Maria gets very confused about her mission and her task. And so we say, hey, there are other ruins on this island, so we can go talk to the village chief about this, see what he knows, and maybe we can get more information and get more confirmation about whether she's a devil or an angel, which will be useful for Kill Maria. Talking to the chief reveals there's plenty of more ruins around, and this becomes the main emphasis of the game, is that we go to these ruins, unlock some sort of monster, kill the monster, and move on with our day. And Kill Maria has some sort of expertise in the knowledge of the ancient people or whatever. Anyway, the first one is there's one over at this cape, so we talk to Kill Maria about it. We take her over there. She reads the inscriptions, and it does seem to say that Panis is an angel, but she's like, I don't know. It seems kind of miffy. I don't know if I believe it or not, because the translation's kind of weird. Anyway, she says she's going to stay, and she's going to examine it for a while and camp out here and all that stuff. So the next day, we come with all the children and bring her bread, and she's getting more friendly as we talk to her and whatnot. Then another day goes by, and we find that her and Zynga have connected over fishing, which they both love. We also work with Uncle, which is Shannon's dad, on fixing up a sailing boat for the village and getting some cotton from the sails. Next, we go back to talking to Zynga about the ship, and the pirates come back. This time it's Bacchus the Dwarf, along with Hot Pirate Velvet, who are now teamed up, and they're best friends, apparently. They're going to attack us from the ship using cannons, so they're just going to blast the shore, and so we have to get on our ship and head out there. But first, Adam puts cannons on that ship so that we can have an even fight. And this is a pretty fun battle, I'm not going to lie. And you get several of these. They're very silly. You have to activate a magical tractor beam, and then you have to activate the cannons in turn and blast their cannons and stuff, and then you can attack the ship. Now, granted, I am cheating like shit, so all my guys are super strong, and so I literally just walk up to I summon their ship to me with the tractor beam, and then I just blow the shit out of it with my regular attacks, which are much stronger than the cannon attacks, which are not affected by the cheating. All right, but it was pretty fun, and it's just reemphasize that this whole game is pretty lighthearted and silly. So we beat them, and then we talk about how we should prepare for 11, who is the other pirate who tried to conquer the island, who he claims to be a noble, or that he owns the island because of, I don't know, right of blood or something. Again, the translation. Anyway, so it's if he comes back, we're going to need to upgrade the ship. So to do that, we need to find some materials and get the cannons update. So at that point, we go and check on Maria. She's exhausted from days of no sleep and examining the ruins, and she can't find an entrance to the next ruins or whatever. And so we decide we're going to help out. And also Panis takes care of her, forces her to eat, forces her to rest a little bit, and then finally Maria decides that Panis is probably not a demon or whatever she was trying to do, and so the exorcism's off the table at this juncture, but she still wants to stick around and find out what's going on. So we head inside this cavern with her after we get it opened up, and we get accosted by this scythe-wielding masked woman who also wants to kill Panis. And after we beat the shit out of her, Kill Maria officially joins the party. Oh no, she joins first, and then we kill the shit out of her, and she leaves, swearing that she will return someday for vengeance or something. We discuss all of this, and Panis is like really unconcerned about the whole situation because she knows that Shannon and Freed will protect her because they're her brother and sister. And so a bit later, we go talk to Zinga, who mentions that the seas have become too calm, and that's because there's a big fish boy wandering around, and this is one of the giant creatures we summon by Panis like touching the different giant statues at the ruins all over the island. So then we have to do this guy. So we head out to defeat it, and at some point Panis becomes engulfed with music, just as she did at the end of chapter 2. And this happens every time. So you fight these giants, she starts singing, everyone becomes she becomes possessed by like a new magical song or whatever. Everyone kind of passes out for a moment. And then we head over to now we start heading over to the crystal, and then she sings like the new song at the crystal, and I don't know, activates the arc, obviously. And that ends chapter 3. And at the end of every chapter from here on out, it's going to pretty much be that till the end of the game. So then chapter 4 begins with everyone standing around wondering about all these threats from the sea, about what's going on. And then Velvet, the hot pirate lady, shows up. She wants us to hire her to protect the village. And we're like, why? And she's like, because I like Panis and I want to know more about her. And Panis is clearly strong, and she wants to be associated with power, and then she can use it later. And so we talk about this with the villagers. They're all pretty skeptical, but they trust Freed in his decision. And he's like, let's give Velvet a chance. So the chief's like, I'll allow it. And so Velvet and Shannon get into it a little bit because Velvet's obviously hot, and Shannon wants to bang Freed, even though it's like her little brother, and she's like a 100-year-old elf. So she's like grandma, super grandma. Anyway, but the Velvet lady like flirts with us, which is much more age appropriate, even though she's probably like 30 and Freed's like 18. Because Shannon is, again, like 120 years old or some crazy thing. Anyway, she's super jealous about it, and it's pretty funny. And then at some point, a kid runs up to interrupt because Bacchus is over here, and he's mad because Velvet left him, and he thought they were going to be best friends forever, and he's not, or they had like a romantic relationship. I don't know, the translation kept like mixing it up. So he's attacking again, and so Velvet's like, I got this. And so we go to battle. Bacchus is upset. But she's like, no. Oh, yeah. Because it seems like Bacchus is like, I thought we were going to get married. And she's like, no, we're just friends. Friend-zoned. And he's super drunk. And so we beat him up, and then he sobers up, and he apologizes. And then Velvet tells him to go home and rest. And so he does. So congratulations, Freed has a new member of the harem. And somebody even says that. Someone's like, oh, no, I think Bacchus is like, congratulations, Freed, you have yourself a fine woman. And Shannon's like, she is not his woman. Good stuff. At this juncture, the teacher lady, she got hurt or is feeling sick or something. I don't know. Anyway, something is wrong with her, and for that reason, we head up to the mountains to get some sweet potatoes or yams or something, because we're going to use that to make some bread, of course. And when we give it to the teacher, it'll help her get her strength back, of course. So, Velvet is... Let's see. Do you think Velvet? Oh, okay. And then Velvet's like, hell yeah, sweet potatoes. I'm going to get my vigor up as well. And I'm like, the fuck's going on here? And so she's like, I would eat all these sweet potatoes or eat all this bread. And we're like, dude, we're just making fucking bread. Like, I can give you this. Anyway, we get the bread over to the lady, the teacher. She's feeling better, and she asks us to go to the woods to get some flowers. So, of course, we do that. Then Velvet brings up that there's a pirate ship coming in. It's Levin, the guy who wants to just take over the island and all that stuff. And so this time she leads the ship into victory. Levin laughs like a maniac once his ship is destroyed. And after the battle, everyone praises Velvet or showers her with praise. So she's like officially part of the town and the community at this point and whatnot. And she gets super upset by this because she's a lunatic. And she storms off because I'm supposed to be a bad guy. And I'm just here because you're all paying me. And in my head, I'm like, I don't ever remember talking about paying her anything. Or but I guess that was somewhere in the mistranslation that we were going to give her money or something. I thought it was all about the power thing. The power thing made more sense, but I guess there was money involved too. I don't know. Panis is super confused, just as confused as I about this whole situation. And then Zanga explains that some people have a broken heart. And they're just, I don't know, they're dumb as shit. Anyway, But then he speaks to my heart because he talks about the power of friendship and how we can use the power of friendship to help her heal from whatever happened to her in the past. Because, say it with me now, friendship is magic. So then Velvet at that point brings us to a ruins in the north where she wants to find something. We go off there, we kill the monsters, and then we're like, oh shit, it's way too cold here. We go back to the village to prepare for this. Velvet's very miffed about this whole thing. And then Kill Maria shows up, and she has amulets. They're filled with the fire spirit, which will protect us from the cold, so that Velvet doesn't have to put on extra clothes. She can continue wearing a fucking pirate bikini this whole goddamn game with like a cape. Like, the fuck? Anyway. Anyway, thank you, game, I guess. So we head over there to the ice part. We kill the monsters. We find like another giant thingy. Shannon is like, let's not touch this one. And everyone's like, whatever, let's YOLO, let's just fucking touch this thing and make it happen. And well, actually, everyone's like, yeah, I agree, this is a terrible idea. And then Panis is like, YOLO, I already touched it. At that point, the whole place shakes. Kill Maria is like, look, there is a mural with a person with wings on there. On it. And then there's a cave, and inside the cave we have to fight the giant monster golem thingy that Panis summoned. We beat it. Panis gains another song. She gets a vision of destruction and stuff and gets pretty scared. Everyone passes out as usual. We all awaken. And then Kill Maria looks at the mural again and sees a girl with wings. But she has 2 wings, not once. So that's very concerning. Anyway, back to town. Kill Maria explains that there was an ancient civilization 1,000 years ago. Shining games. There it is. The 1,000-year-old war. The one shining... It's like... Started with the Vandals, I think, with the first one. No, Dark Dragon. The very first game had like a 1,000-year-old war. They just like... I mean, 1,000 years is easy. It's not like that. But it just comes up time and time and time again. Anyway, this ancient civilization, of course, had super technology, and this island seems to be a refuge from whatever destroyed the ancient civilization. It seems to be like their ark. And it like there's points here where it's like the translation is just like no help. I might as well just be reading this in Japanese, to be completely honest. I might actually have gotten more out of it. Anyway, and then Panis appears to be a descendant of this group, but not like a full descendant or something. And then Adam mentions that she's 60% compatible or something. And then all the tech on the island is because of this like ancient civilization. I think they call him Einfield or something. And then we go meet with like the whole village. The chief apologizes for not trusting Panis immediately from the get-go. At the school, the teacher promises that everyone supports Panis and that she's one of us. And then Shannon starts talking about Freed. He maybe needs a tie into this as well. Anyway. Oh, and that maybe he is also tied into like this ancient civilization or Einfeld or something, or Panis on some level. Spoiler alert. We never get a firm... Well, at least in this translation, there's never a firm confirmation of where the fuck Freed comes from, ever. Like, at no point was I like, oh, that's where he's from. It's like, no, he's just some fucking guy, like, fell asleep and then woke up and was on this island, and that is the most we're going to get out of it. I actually had forgotten that it happened to him until Shannon brought it up here. Let's see. We discussed this for a little bit. Then Kill Maria mentions that the ruins might we find more ruins, so we'll clarify it some more. Velvet talks to herself about power or something, about a mystery. And thereon we discuss finding more ruins, but that we have got all the ones that we know about now, so that we need to spend more time investigating or searching the island or something. At some point, Zinga mentions that on the north side of the island is completely unexplored, so I guess that's where we're going to go next. But that is because there's a giant mountain in the way that it's impossible to get around. And I look out at the ship that we have and wonder, why don't we just take the fucking ship? Maybe because there's cliffs? I don't know. It just is because there's a mountain, we cannot go there. All right, cool. So we discuss about how we could possibly get through the mountain instead of just taking the ship that we obviously have that we've used to fight pirates multiple times. And Adam at that point's like, oh yeah, there's a cavern system here, and it goes from one ruins to like another ruins probably. And so we're like, oh, that sounds good. Let's go check that out. So we kill our way through there. It just keeps going deeper and deeper, and also it's getting hot, like volcanic, like super hot. And then Kill Maria brings up, sorry. So I mentioned the Ark before. This is when Kill Maria brings up the Ark. Like, oh, this must have been an Ark, all this stuff. This whole island is like a vessel. So the whole rest of the world was engulfed in like whatever war or something, that this place was safe and that it kept everyone safe or something. And then at some point, Freed gets like very nervous because this whole area seems like super dangerous. And it's like, hey, maybe we should go take a break and rest for a little bit first before we plunge even deeper into the depths. After we take a little rest-opotamus for a day, we plunge back into the depths. Nothing happens in between. That's right. He's just like, I feel bad. Maybe we should go save the fucking game. And it's like, oh, we should definitely go save the game, shouldn't we? In fact, the game forces you to go back and save the game. Anyway, back in the ruins, we run into this other combat robot, which of course is a sexy woman. It's of course, her name is what was her name? I wrote Eve, but that's not right. Anyway, she's guarding something, so we fight her, and then Adam has like a crisis of purpose because he's just a machine for killing, apparently. Like him and the woman robot get into a conversation about why he's farming and shit, and he's like, because I love farming, and she's like, you're a killing machine just like me, and he's like, no. Then we all tell him, like, you don't listen to that dumb bitch. You're a farming robot. If that's what your heart tells you, then like you can do it. And Adam's like, yeah, I can do it. This is awesome. And like Adam is so fucking great. Let's see, more than his program. He thinks upon this. Next up, the people of the village. There's some people that are missing from the village that go missing. So we head out to check that out. And the guy we find reports that there's this whole desolate area with like deserts and shit, and that he almost died, but then he found an oasis, and the oasis seemed sketchy or something. So we're all like, oh, maybe that's where we need to go next. And something about this as being the sign that we were looking for. So more ruins, time to go. We head out there. We see that at different times of the day, the ruins are covered because of the tide in this like desolate area. So we have to come back at a later time. So we just go wait at the house for like the later time, like a fucking open world erotic visual novel. So once we do that, while we're waiting to do that, first we got to go get a stone to build a bathtub for the chief. I guess that's the next quest. Anyway. And then we can finally go to the ruins. In the ruins, we find Viola, the person who wants to kill Panis. She's Viola is the scythe-wielding lady. So we beat her again, and then Kill Maria gets concerned about something. She can't read the inscription on the ruins. Oh no, she can read all the ancient languages, but this one she has no fucking clue. Which is odd, right? Because she normally can. It's even more ancient than the ancient language before or something. We talk about this and about how the island is an arc some more. Then there's an earthquake, and of course a new guardian monster shows up. And this one's like a spider kind of monster, so we beat his ass. And then Panis gets a new song, and everyone passes out for a second, and then we go back to the crystal, and then dun-dun-dun, that's the end of chapter 5 into chapter 6. So the chapter starts off with the chief announcing that the village is completely rebuilt, and so it's time for a festival. Awesome. Nothing bad's going to happen because of that. Everyone in town's talking about it. And Panis is like, festival nani desu ka? Or non desu ka? And then the kids tell her about all the cool things of festivals and eating and shenanigans and whatnot. And then we go over to Shannon, who wants us to check something out. And we go with her to like somewhere else. And she's like, I found this thing, but look, there's poison miasma here. And so we kill some monsters there, and it's like, where's this poison miasma coming from? And it's like, oh no, we got to figure it out before it takes over the whole island. We got to clear this place out. So it seems to be getting worse. Later in the evening, we speak with Velvet, and she mentions that the miasma is probably from poisoned water that is being heated up during the day. Because when we go back later at night or something, or she went at night and there wasn't any poison miasma, so it's not actually getting worse, like it's going to affect the whole island. So I probably misread that, to be completely honest. But if we go at night, we can get through, and then we can get to like the other ruins and stuff. So everyone's like super impressed with her being so smart, and she gets like embarrassed as usual. So we go out and check on it, and yeah, hell yeah, she was right. It all went down. We finally get to like the lava level. So we head on through that. At the end of this level, we find some more writing, and the translation here failed me so hard. I have no idea. So I'm just going to guess based on what people's reactions were in their face. So, and my prior knowledge of this game. So it seems like the writing here mentions Panis is a destroying figure or a weapon in some sort of war, or that there was like the war that destroyed the ancient civilization. She was on the end that was like causing the death and the war, is what the murals seem to be saying. Velvet talks about this and somehow makes some sort of connection, and then Shannon gets super upset or scared or something, and we all head back to the village. Anyway, the festival preparations are in full swing. Shannon's clearly in shock about what we just read about, because however painted Panis in light, and her mother points out that it's because she's denying something. And then Fred and Velvet talk about how Panis and how she is not a monster no matter what any ancient fucking mural says, because fuck those murals. And maybe she was a monster in the past, but now she's a friend and everyone loves her, so fuck the past, which preach. Because now she's been a sweet girl, and we know that we can be friends with her forever. Finally, after talking to Mama and Shannon and Velvet and everybody, Shannon comes around and smiles and is like, yeah, Panis is like my sister. I'm not going to let no asshole mural from 1,000 years ago tell me anything different. And then Velvet and her go off to do some more festival prep, even though the festival was like ready to go. Anyway, so we do some festival quests. We go get some berries, and then the festival's about to begin. So I guess the festival prep wasn't ready. Now it's about to begin. And then Leston, or whatever his name is, Levin. No, was it Levin? Anyway, the asshole pirate shows up. So we head out to sea to fight him again. And once we beat him, he's like, oh, I prepared for this. And I prepared like a super attack. And then a monster shows up and fucking destroys his ship. And he's like, no. And we're like, maybe we should rescue him. And I'm like, what about his crew? It's like, no, he's alone. He sells a whole fucking pirate ship all by himself. And I'm like, sounds good. Anyway, so we rescue him. Oh, I think we did rescue his crew, actually. We never see them, but I have a note here that we rescued his crew. So either we did or I made that up in my head because nothing else makes sense. Anyway, he's like, why did you help me? And then Freed's like, because I'm an anime protag, you idiot. And then he's like, oh, that's a good point. So then we fight this monster. And after the battle, it reaches out to Panis and she says something and then starts singing another song, but this one's a destructive song, and this destroys the festival. It shakes the whole island, and then everyone's got lots of questions about Panis, and then she freaks out. After we check and find that everyone is okay back in the town, that it's just like the festival stuff's all destroyed, Panis wakes up. So we take her to the crystal. Kill Maria points out that there's a whole bunch of stuff on the ceiling, and they're like futuristic battle maps like you'd see in like a Japanese anime, right? They're all green, electronic, kind of like the green Matrix thing that we use in America all the time. They have like these like generic battle maps from like Robotech. What was that other show? It's like Naval Destroyer Yamato or something. Anyway, then Panis reveals that the island is not an ark, that it is actually a ship from outer space. What the duh? And that she came down not to save Einfeld or to destroy them, or not to save them, but to destroy them, which she did successfully. And then Adam starts turning into attack mode to attack Panis, since he is an Einfeld robot or whatever. But then he stops himself at the last second. Panis explains that there are no more weapons on the ship, so nothing left with which to attack anyone with. And there is some more talk about this, and this ends chapter 6, leading into chapter 7, which opens up with Panis arguing with the villagers. Apparently the teacher got hurt again, so Panis tries to explain that she came to save her world, not to destroy our world. But the villagers are super pissed, and they're not listening, even after they all said how great Panis was a minute ago. So Panis runs off, and then Zynga talks to Freed about how like maybe we should just let her go off and kill herself or something. And then Shannon's pretty depressed. Velvet's disappeared completely. Adam is acting strange, and Kill Maria is in the ruins, not eating or talking to anybody or anything. Zynga then tells Freed that he really needs to think about what's more important, Panis or the village, and that Panis is officially the enemy of the village because she destroyed the festival, and that she came to this earth like 1,000 years ago to like kill and destroy, and that she's gonna keep doing the same thing. And I'm like, Zynga, you're kind of an asshole, to be completely honest. And thank goodness Fred agrees with us, because he's like, I don't believe it, but I don't know what to do in this situation. It's like way over my head as like a teenage boy, but I'm an anime protagonist, so I'm sure I'll use the power of friendship to overcome all odds. So after wandering around for a little bit, Fred starts to lose some of that anime protag energy, but thank goodness we have the villain turned friend, Levin. Yeah, it is Levin. He finds him being sad on the beach, and he's like, hey man, I'm gonna sit and talk to you for a little bit. And then if I can't convince you to make the right decision, I'm just gonna beat you up. And then Fred's like, okay. So we talk about it. They have a heart-to-heart about Panis and how Fred is dealing with all the information and everything that's going on. And then Fred's like, you know what, I do feel a little bit better. Thanks, enemy, now friend. And then finally it takes like the kids and the teacher who knew Panis very well because she was in class with them, and they finally are able to come forward with Levin and convince Fred to stop being an asshole and to get back his anime protag energy so that he can animate protag as optimism and use friendship as magic to solve everyone's problems, which he does. So first things first, we're gonna go talk to Shannon. They decide that some people are being super weird, but they both believe in Panis because she is their sister, and so they're gonna go find her. So she joins the team. Then we kill some monsters. We can't find her. This whole chapter is just like get a party member to join you. That party member and you go fight some bad guys, and then you come back and find the next party member essentially until you have everybody and Panis is back. So we're just gonna go through. Okay. After we get back from fighting monsters and not finding her, we're talking about we're not going to give up and we're going to find her. So next up is Velvet. She misses Panis and wants to help her because Panis like opened her heart and allowed her to not just care about power and money, I guess. So she's not going to give up either. And then Bacchus shows up. So we go to argue with him and they fight because fuck it, why not? After that, he states that he's going home, but that if Velvet ever needs any help or anything, he can call it to help her. And then Velvet mentions that Bacchus was her closest ally for a long time, but now she's got us and Panis. So I'm glad she's really happy that they're able to make up, but now she wants to help the village make up with Panis. Next, we have some villagers who are having difficulty with things since Panis is gone. Oh, I forgot about that. So we have people join us. We go on their little missions. We do their little adventure. And then there's like a group of people in town, like the people at the ranch or like your parents or like the chief or whatever. And then we go on a mission for them. And the whole mission for them is like Panis was doing all this shit for everybody all the time. And even though they were really mean because she like broke their festival by accident, that they're like, shit, we're assholes. And so then they all come around and they all want Panis back, right? So we get them to come around. Then next up is Kill Maria. So I'm glad we're focusing on the waifus first, to be completely honest. That's how it should be. She's looking around in ruins, and she finds some more information about the invading force from space and how the ancients fought them, which is confirms exactly what Panis was saying. And then she joins up. Next, more townspeople need help rescuing children. After that, they tell them they were getting flowers because they miss Panis and want her back, and all the teachers feel bad about it and stuff. And then Freed and his harem are chilling on the beach when a red moon appears. Oh no! We then see Panis rise out of the ocean and go into a large monster woman thing like all his other bosses. So the crew calls out to her. She's trapped in there or something. So we're gonna have to fight it. But this time without Adam or Zinga, the men. Men are awful. Boo. Velvet is like, I got this. I'm gonna try. She's gonna like sail the ship. And then Levin shows up and he's like, I'm going to help too. He has to protect the island so that eventually he can take it over and make it part of his kingdom. So we start the fight. We have to beat the angel like 5 fucking times. After each time, the team tells Panis how important she is to them and how they want her back and how they love her and everything, including Levin, who's known her for like 15 seconds. But whatever. We'll go. Friendship is magic after all. So he mentions that she should trust Frid. So it's all good stuff. He doesn't talk about himself and his relationship, to be completely honest. Anyway, finally Panis comes down. We talk with her and she sings the monster lady away like she did at the golem at the very beginning. And then we go talk to everybody about what happened. And so then we get a lore dump. So here we go. You ready for it? So Panis is from another planet. And that her and her friends, their planet was attacked by like a demon titan or something. I'm just going to assume it's supposed to be like an evil titan, like Satan, because that's usually how it is. It's like Satan just went up in the sky and attacked this planet, and he was like turning it all evil or something. And so they built an ark. So this place is an ark, but it's a spaceship ark from somewhere else. And so then they left. They came here and they arrived, and they thought they were being welcomed by the Einfeld ancient civilization. But it turns out, plot twist, I guess like the third plot twist, is that because the first plot twist is that Panis is that the whole island's an ark. Second plot twist is that it's not an ark, and that Panis is a bad guy who attacked the ancient civilization. And then third plot twist is that no, Panis was actually a refugee on an ark, so it is an ark. And when she came to get like help to fight the Dark Titan, the civilization here attacked her. Right? Okay, I think that's all a plot twist. And so they arrived, and then the civilization here just wanted to like abuse them and use them for experimentation, and like was kidnapping them and sending them away and all this stuff. And so once all of Panis' friends were like killed or experimented on, she like gave up existence and was like, I'm going to sing the Forbidden Song, which is going to kill everybody and also commit suicide to me. So it's literally going to kill everybody. And so she sang it, destroyed everything, and then she was supposed to die, but instead she just lost her wings. Like she lost one wing, and the other wing shriveled up and became black. All right. And so everyone is aghast about this fucking Titan. Is like, is it going to come here next? Shit. And it's like, no, it's still out there just hanging around the planet or something, because there's some sort of time dilation or something. Like time travels differently here than it does there. Or like, I don't know. They were trying to explain something about time something and how like it's traveling through space. I don't know. Anyway, Fred's like, fuck it, let's go fight this thing. Because of course he does. And he also references, he's like, and they're like, we can't kill that thing. It's like a giant monster in space. And he's like, remember that golem we fought earlier on this island, the one we've killed like 16 of? We couldn't kill that one at first too, but we figured it out because of the power of friendship. And everyone's like, yeah, that's true. We do have the magic of friendship. Let's do it, because friendship is fucking magic. So we go get Adam and Zanga on board, which goes by pretty quick. Panis cries a lot, and then everyone hugs it out, which ends chapter 7. So chapter 8, which is the final chapter. First things first, we go talk to Adam, and he has this whole like schizo experience. Like he's literally arguing with himself about Panis, and he runs off. And then he runs into Eve. Again, I don't think that's her name. I don't know why I kept writing that down. But she says some crazy nonsense. And Adam finally breaks his programming, and he does it with the password. Guess what? Guess what the password is? That's right, it's Shining Force. Got it in. All right, so he says Shining Force, and then Lord. So he turns back. So then he gains ego. So we can fight Eve, and he mentions being reborn. Now he can think for himself and do whatever he wants. We all celebrate with Adam, who carries Panis on his shoulders as we march back into town. Everyone's super excited. So Fred starts talking about a herald. I think like Galactus and his herald, and then Viola shows up, and I'm like, is she the herald? I get confused about this whole Viola thing, to be completely honest. She's like, I need to kill Panis, because something to do with the Titan, like the Titan needs to not come here, like the sin or something. And she knew about this stuff the whole time, but refused to tell us because she's an asshole, I guess. So we beat her ass. There's a lot of taunting back and forth, and then she disappears again. And then we go talk to Zynga. He's a little reticent to join up with the team, but finally he's like, all right, if everyone's going to convince me, help out Panis, I guess we're going to do it. We talk about Viola, we talk about, and then Zingo starts to think that she is just as stubborn as he is. At that point, she shows up and asks if we thought about what we talked about with Panis before, and I was a little confused. So like, what the fuck did we talk about before? You just showed up, were an asshole, hiding information, and then said, like, let's kill this child, and I was like, no. So after we deny her the right to kill children, or whatever, she's like, you must follow me. And at that point, Zynga finally joins up again. So we follow Viola. She transforms from this like purple dressed, masked woman to like an angel lady with 2 angel wings. And then she starts singing, which creates like a wall of light. So we have to fight her, but we learn that Panis's magic singing can't pass her magic singing or something. And then we are like at the very end of the game almost, and we get a tutorial. The fuck game. Anyway, it was completely unnecessary. It's just like, Panis can't sing during these events. And I was like, she can sing? I guess that makes sense. The previous game, all those women could sing. Fair enough. Anyway, so we beat her. She leaves. Back in the village, Panis explains everything and asks for help from everybody. And all the kids and such, they come to help her. Shannon's parents go real hard in the paint because Panis is their daughter as far as they're concerned. Then we start talking about battling the Dark Titan. Panis says that she was unable to hurt it. And then Levin mentions that how did you fight it, or how are we going to fight with it? And apparently no one could do any damage or do anything. So apparently their world was filled with hate or something. Yeah, here's more lore. So and then it was like the thing showed up. The world was full of hate, so all the leadership in the world was clashing, and they didn't agree on any method to like fight it or anything. And so the thing just like took over. And that being said, because the village is like united, the village that we're in right now is united to fight that, we're going to be able to use the power of friendship to defeat the Dark Titan when we fly all the way over to fight it now in this ship that we're clearly on. Let's see. Oh, and then at some point Adam brings up like the Chaos Gate and using like heart swords or something, and I was like, okay. So we talk about heart swords, and then someone's like, well, we don't have any heart swordsmen here, and I'm like, I guess we're in the same timeline as Shining Tears still. So like, I guess we're still here. And then instead of being able to draw a sword, because we don't have a heart swordsman, we can draw upon all the hearts or all the feelings of all the people to weaken the Titan. At that point, Viola shows up, and she's like, I'll help. And then she apologizes to Panis. Apparently they were friends once or something, and she calls Panis the god of death, or she calls herself the god of death. I was unsure. Anyway, so now she's the protector of the world or something. And so she joins up. Okay, sounds good. So we're going to get all the people's hearts in sync, and then she's going to use that through the power of song or something as a weapon to weaken the Dark Titan so that we can defeat it and save her world. So now the people in the village start helping us get ready to travel to Panis' homeworld and fight the Titan. First, the teacher and the kids help out. Then several other groups of villages help clear space out and activate various fonts of mana. It's a whole bunch of like main story quests. We go to these levels, beat monsters. This all happens. And then once all the spots, we got to go back to like all... So essentially, I think it's five. There's 5 giants statues. We go to each one of the giant statues, and with the help of like a different group of people from the village, because we all going to be united in one. Because friendship is magic, and we open up these fonts of mana, which are actually like, I don't know, they're somehow related to the spaceship being able to fly through space. Let's see. So once we take care of all that stuff, the time difference and the time travel and all that stuff. So I guess time travels much faster here than in our home world. So even though it's been like 1,000 years, over there it's been like 15 minutes or something. And for some reason, Panis hasn't aged in like the last 1,000 years either or something. This gets brought up and explained in a way that I did not understand, but I was like, okay. So, and then everyone's like, it's like, hey, if we fly this thing off into space, we might be there, and then time might travel really fast here. And then everyone's like, YOLO, we all live, like everyone we know and like, except for Erwin, like lives on this fucking island. So like, whatever. And everyone's like, yeah, hell yeah. So it's like, okay, whatever, YOLO, let's do this. What about Erwin? Well, she's an elf. She'll live like thousands of years. Who cares? And I'm like, oh, she's so hot. I love her. Anyway, so then we activate the arc. As we're about to take off, a cherubim shows up again. Oh, not... Is her name Cherubim? Eve. I'm just going to keep calling her Eve. Eve shows up again. Adam tries to talk her down. Doesn't work. So we fight her, which is cool. As she starts to self-repair, and we're about to take off, it's like, shit, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this if she's going to self-repair? Bacchus shows up. And he's like, what up? And he like clubs her, Eva, and like throws her over his shoulders. And he's like, I'll take care of this. And winks at everybody, like really creepily. And then drags off his like new robot girlfriend. And we thank him, and like Velvet, he gets super embarrassed and he's like getting thanked to do things. So he runs off. We get like a fun PSP cutscene of us like flying to Panis's world. There's a huge Titan. It's got its palms on the world, and then all the people of the world like reach out. Panis informs them that she's returned, and the people are very distrustful, right? Because they're filled with like hardness in their hearts or whatever. So we talk to them, but Zynga understands why they would be so distrusting, because that's how he felt too. Finally, we're able to get them into a position where they're on board, so they will join us in this battle versus the Dark Titan, so we can actually defeat it, because now we're going to use the power of like friendship on the island plus the power of friendship on the whole planet that Panis is from, and finally like unite and defeat this evil motherfucker. And so we get the final battle, which starts another tutorial. Fuck you, game. What the fuck? You're introducing combat mechanics on the very last battle of the game. Go fuck yourself. Something about a soul cannon, which is the only way to hurt the Dark Titan, which is true, which is awful. And then this guy has like some angel assholes we can fight as well. And then we got to like charge up using like our force buildup on this cannon, and we keep hitting it. And then at some point, during the fight, it starts arguing about how it's passing judgment and how we're hypocrites. And then we're like, no, you're a hypocrite because you're doing the same thing. You're passing judgment as they were passing judgment or something. We finally beat his ass. Because he didn't want to listen and just stop being an asshole. And then we get to the next form. Yep, multiple forms. Hell yeah, final boss. It's some sort of creature in some sort of like orb surrounded by vines and thorns and stuff. And it starts singing. And then Viola is like, oh, I can't fight this one. And then Panis like volunteers to sing the forbidden song. And Freed's like, hell no, you're not going to die this time. And then she mentions that the song will be about love instead of anger. So she can sing the forbidden song, but because it's about love, she'll be okay. Anyway, we get a cutscene of her singing. And right before she gets... and then during that, she gets like her white wings back. And so we get a retake of the battle at the end of Shining Blade, where Panis and Fried like hold hands and slowly walk towards the boss. And as we get close, each character connects with Panis, and there's like a little cutscene where we see their faces and they're like talking in Japanese, so I have no clue what they're fucking saying. And it hurts the boss. Then we get knocked back and we do it again. And then as we're doing this, her wings slowly turn gray and feathers start coming off, and then they turn black. And then we get a couple scenes with just her and Freed that I don't understand. And finally, they combine the powers because friendship is magic, and we're able to blast away the thorns, revealing a little blue thing in the middle. And then Panis is back down to like one black wing, but it looks bigger now, I guess. Anyway, Panis is okay, but she has completely lost her memory. So the little blue thing is defeated. The Dark Titan's defeated. The world saved. Panis loses her memory, and then Fried cries like a little bitch, and Panis tries to comfort him, and they hug it out, and then the credits roll. Dun, dun, dun. Afterwards, the credits, we're back in the village. Everyone is helping rebuilding the village since it got messed up when we like fucking flew through space and time. Bacchus shows up with his girlfriend Eve, who's all fixed and shit, and like kiss me harder senpai kind of attitude towards him. So like fist bump to you, Bacchus, and we're all friends now. Fried is still super quiet because he's sad. Someone mentions that Panis is completely gone here. She stayed in her other world back there. And then Velvet mentions that losing her memory is better because that way she didn't have to be sad when she stayed back in her planet with her friends. Later on, Frade is hanging out on the beach where he first met Panis, and then he looks up and sees a red moon. And then Panis shows up, and she says that she's home. Aww, she is home. That's so sweet. And that's the end of the game. And then just like Shining Blade, there's like this post-game situation where we get another fucking tutorial about the post-game. Anyway, more side quests, more side stories with friends, some cute scenes, and like a super boss and everything. So that's fucking Shining Arc. There you go. One more down. One more to go. Shining Resonance Refrain is the next game. But Shining Arc was all right. I like getting through it. Some of the characters were kind of cute when I could understand stuff. It was fun. The battle system, just like Shining Blade, was like, all right. And the story was wackadoo, which I love. I love wackadoo stories, like space battles and shit. Like, awesome. I'm all for it. So yeah, it was pretty good times. But that's it. That's Shining Arc. So go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.